Hey, what's up, beautiful people? This is your 2024 yearly astrological and energy overview. Now, I'm going to be going over the major trends of energies for the year coming up. It's going to be even a bigger, stronger year of energy with us moving through this birthing process. And really, collectively speaking, this birthing process is kind of a decade long. All right, started in 2020 with the Saturn-Pluto conjunction, and we all know what happened at that time, right? And going to 2030, in between that time, we are literally going through the entire birthing process from one dimension to another. Now, of course, it's not linear, but you can see how many things are shifting and changing, and we're clearing, and the humanity is doing a lot of purging, and things need to change, right? So as this clearance happens, we're coming into almost the midpoint of this bigger picture energy. 2023 was really all about facing our deepest fears, and sort of, I guess, we could measure that to like the water breaking, right? In the birthing process. Now that the water is broken, and humanity has been having many contractions. Contractions have been getting harder and harder. All right. Now in 2024, we're going to start to see the head pop out. We're going to start to see things really fully breaking down, clearing out, starting to come into the other side. And the major energies that we're going to be discussing here are going to be the outer planets. Now, of course, I'm talking about tropical astrology. And with that, understanding the outer planets, they're transpersonal planets, meaning that these planets represent the more collective, more higher vibrational, or multi-dimensional energetics of our souls, contracts, as we move through this journey called life that we're all experiencing. So these energies are the main focus, along with the eclipses. And with this combination of these energies, we're going to see the overall view of where the different signs are going to be, focusing their energy on in their soul's growth to this next chapter of life. Now, some major things, of course, on April 8th, we're going to see the Great American Total Solar Eclipse, and that's going to be that's going to be in Aries at 19 degrees of Aries, conjunct Chiron. All right. Now, this is a really big deal because we had the first, I'm sorry, it's a lunar eclipse. So we had the solar eclipse in 2017, and now we're having a lunar eclipse, a 5-year period there, closing that out, but really birthing and starting the revolutionary energy that is going to, I feel, really take off at the end of 2024 and 2025. What's really interesting, we have Pluto that's coming into Aquarius now on January 21st of this year. It's going to go back into Capricorn, just tapping into 29 degrees of Capricorn to clean up and finish up all that, all the debris of that plutonic energy, which is basically as deep as our consciousness goes, as far as we know right now, right? So with that depth, that is a death and rebirth transformation energy. It's the phoenix rising from the ashes. This is the time that tests man's souls. When I say man, it represents humanity. Okay, so as our souls are all being tested, right? So we really have to get, our egos are going through a lot of testing, a lot of purification, and a lot of questions about, like, why are you here? What do you really want to, what is your legacy going to be, right? What do you want to be known for? And really taking deeper and deeper dives and looks within our consciousness. That's why we're seeing all this revolutionary stuff going on in the study of consciousness itself. So with Pluto going to Aquarius, that's going to really dominate the year with the plutonic energy. It's going to go to 2 degrees, which is not much, but Pluto doesn't move very far. Right? It's a 20-year cycle that we still have a little tiny bit, September into November, September 3rd, I believe, into November 20th. Is a time frame that'll be at 29 degrees. Interestingly enough, the U.S. election, presidential election, happens on November 5th. So Pluto will be at 29 degrees Capricorn. I think that's significant because that's really going to show where people are going to be like, screw this, I've had enough, let's go. It's time to create a new leadership. I believe new leaders are going to be popping up all over the place, right? People that have good ethical and moral standards and values, because as we get into this higher vibration, you cannot lie. Any kind of manipulation, any kind of untruths, any kind of inauthenticity is going to be called out like that more and more and more, which is a great thing about this energy shift. Now, as we're moving through this, it's going to look uglier before it gets better, right? Because clearly there are forces out there that do not want humanity to become sovereign, to become, like fully responsible for their lives. They want to keep people victims. Now, you're watching this, you are not one of those people. You do not want to be a victim, and you want to take charge of your life. So hopefully this video and other content like this is going to help you to really get some scaffolding to get you there. But before I really get into it, please do me a favor and subscribe. And if you feel like anyone else can benefit from this information, go ahead and share this as well, and hit the like and the notification button. And also, if you'd like a personal reading with me or some coaching, you can go ahead, and all the information is in the description box below. But one of the most significant aspects of 2024, from what I've noticed, is Neptune. Neptune is going to be sitting at 29 degrees of Pisces for 5 months. All right, 5 months. That is incredibly significant because the degrees. All right, every sign has 30 degrees. The first, and now, especially when we're talking about these multidimensional energies, the first 10 degrees is the activation of the energy, right? It's individuated, it's coming up, it's birthing a new version. So it's kind of like in between learning this new part of ourselves and letting go, or the old part dying off. The second half is learning how to work with the energies and individuating it into our persona, into our personality. Collectively, we've been in between that second and third phase for the last few years, right? Now, coming into this third phase, which is really all about the collective, it's our understanding of how we want to be in relationship to the collective. And when we're sitting at the 29th degree, the anorectic degree, those degrees are 10 times more potent than the other degrees, because this is the degree of mastery. With Neptune coming into its home sign at the very last degree, in the very last sign, the entire zodiac, this is literally, in our lifetime, this is mastering that energy of Pisces, but also of our spirituality. Now, when I say mastering this, Neptune is the planet of illusion and delusion. So it's the planet that represents the media. It's the planet that represents addictions, but also our connection to divine. So you see anybody that has like a strong Neptune placement, they're very intuitive, all right? They could be a medium, they could be a psychic, or even, very powerful religious leaders have very strong Neptunian energy. Collectively speaking, though, this is where we can see a lot of religious and or even spiritual extremism coming out in a whole new layer. And the crazies are just going to be out there, and addiction is going to also go even crazier. I mean, we're seeing crazy stuff now, but we could see a lot of like, particularly if we start to see this in the leadership sector with politics and even different caste systems or religious systems in the world. What I see happening is there's going to be one main kind of new desired religion that brings everyone together, but in a very restricted way that I feel a little uncomfortable about. Because I believe that we all have our, unique individuated connection to source energy, to God. And that's our responsibility to stay connected to that place. And that place in its highest vibration is love, right? So the tricks, the manipulation, it's going to get stronger, but we are going to be able to see it. The trick, though, is going to be for us to really have to do the deeper inner work to be able to master ourselves and stay centered and not get caught up in the darkness. Now, you know, the darkness, the manipulation can be distractions. I mean, there's distractions everywhere, especially with the media. The media is going to go off the rails. I think next year, by the end of next year, like the whole media system is gonna change into something new, or there's going to be a new dominant system that we may be able to either trust more, or it's going to go offline into connecting, you know, like in a more intimate or like, you know, personal setting. So that's going to be a really big shift. Now, Pluto is, of course, going to be sitting, you know, at 0 degrees, and it's going to have some very significant aspects at 0 degrees. In fact, I have my trusty notes right here. So Pluto, once it goes into 0 degrees, right, we're going to have Mercury conjunct Pluto on February 5th. Then February 11th, I'm sorry, February 13th, Mars is going to conjunct Pluto at 0 degrees, at 0 degrees of Aquarius. Now, remember too, December 21st, 2020, we had the great conjunction of Saturn and Jupiter. And that's a conjunction that happens once every 20 years. And that is bringing in, really, to the next level, this new age of Aquarius. So we can expect to get multiple massive, deep activations with all these conjunctions, especially every single one of the personal planets are conjuncting Pluto here. And Venus is conjuncting Pluto twice this year at that spot at 0 degrees. Okay. So when Venus conjuncts Pluto, this is really getting real with what you want to create. It's going to be more specific depending on what house placement this is in. But I'll give you an example. Like for me, it's in my 10th house. So that has to do with life purpose, with how I come out into the world, right? So self-worth, self-confidence, stepping up out into the limelight, right? Also with being a father, or, you know, being a man, or being a provider, or being a father figure, right? The universe has given me opportunity to step up into that next level, next layer. So I'm excited to share all these things and for you guys to see my journey as I get all this activated in my 10th house, because this is going to be a big deal. All right, but we have Pluto Venus on February 17th, and then the second Pluto Venus on December 7th. All right, so when we have two conjunctions like that in 1 year, especially in two different eclipse cycles or patterns, then there's like an opening and activation and some kind of karmic lesson or karmic opportunity or obstacle or challenge that we're going to experience about digging deeper within ourselves, seeing the vision that's bigger, seeing we want more, wanting to create bigger, better, faster, stronger, right? And that's deepening also our empathic abilities. The deeper we dig into our heart and the more we want to connect to ourselves and I really feel it's going to deepen our soul's desire to make this world a better place, because that feeling has to get stronger than the people that desire to keep control of it. And I believe that is going to shift. That seesaw, if you will, is going to start to dip into the other direction next year, particularly after the great lunar eclipse in Aries conjunct Chiron. And with the nodes in Aries and Libra, the North Node is basically going to be conjunct Chiron for the next 6 to 8 months. All right, there's an orb, you know, status there, but for the most part, you know, this is really looking at like where we individuate ourselves, but where we also, you know, are able to create the interconnectivity between us and other people around, and where we block ourselves, where we keep ourselves hidden, where we want to isolate, where we don't want to be around people, right? We have to get out there, but also find that balance and not be grandiose, and, you know, watch out for the narcissism, because narcissism is everywhere. We got to be really careful about that. All right. So with March 25th, we have the lunar eclipse at 5 degrees Libra. And then the solar eclipse at 9 degrees Aries. Now, I talked about those in depth in my eclipse season video. I'll put a link for that down in the description box below so you guys can check it out. But that is going to end and kick off a new 6-month cycle that's really the meat and potatoes of this this nodal cycle, right? Of really coming into individuating ourselves, our identities into this new version. We're all becoming sort of like a 2.0 version of ourselves right now. And as the baby's head is peeking out, right, now we're feeling the air on our face. We're no longer in this old world where we were like had this veil around us, which would be like the placenta, right? We're being kicked out of the placenta. And the birthing process is not fun, right? But it's necessary. And coming into this new world is going to create a new version of us, right? So we have to remain steadfast, and we have to be honest with our heart. The more that we stay attached in any way to anything that is not serving a highest vibrational good, it's going to affect us worse and worse and worse. Now that can be control dynamics, that can be addictions to distraction, to porn, to drugs, to a person, to money, to objects like cars and whatnot. Who knows? The biggest thing is being grateful for where you're at and what you have now, right? And the more gratitude you have in your heart, we're going to align and manifest more things that create more gratitude. But we have to get to that place. And we get there, we ping. It's like revving a car's engine up to the red line. We get to the high vibration. Then we got to come back down and integrate it. Then we can come up, come back down. But the more, this is why all this personal development work and stuff like that, healing centers are popping up all over the place. Biohacking and alternative medicines are growing at an exponential rate. We're going to see these things start to expand like we've never seen before. And we're going to start to see the other things that are based on lies. And you know what the industries that I'm talking about, all right? They're all going to start to collapse, and they're going to be scrambling to hold on to try to bring people down with them. It ain't going to work. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be a certain amount of people that are going to go in that direction, but I believe that by 2025, the energy is going to be so split that people like you and I that are living sovereign, that are taking responsibility for our lives, are going to be so much in a different vibration that we're not even going to be able to, we're all going to migrate to different places, to different areas. All right. So whatever these types of 15-minute cities or whatever they're planning on doing with the economy, to try to manipulate people, we're going to be drawn away from that. Right. When we're in our heart, and it's just going to feel like, nah, something doesn't feel right. We're going to trust that feeling. We're going to go into what does feel right. Okay. So we also have the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction happening at 21 degrees of Taurus from April 17th to the 22nd. Now that is going to be another massive, massive aspect. Being in Taurus is a fixed sign, right? Now, this is going to be a lot of unexpected change depending on whatever house it is for you is going to be where it's focused on. And I'm going to go through all the 12 signs individually for videos, so you can check back later for those, all right? But the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, the last time that happened, I'll tell you my experience, was when I was in Iraq in 2010. For me, that was in my 12th house, all right? Now, at that time in my life, I was drinking up the Kool-Aid from the military. I was doing, special ops, running missions out there. And up until that point in my life, I've been in the military for 10 years, and I thought that I want to be in the military for life. I was a lifer. I was like, I just want to get medals and, get the bad guys and, do the right thing. I want to be a patriot. When I got over there, I realized, wow, I don't really feel like a patriot here. My moral and ethical values did not line up with what I was seeing out there in the field, right? So I had these massive, massive, massive internal conflicts based on what I was seeing, and morally and ethically, I just couldn't do it. So I sabotaged myself, and eventually I ended up getting out of the military, and that started my journey to where I'm at now, being a healer and helping people and going through the process where the Western medical system failed me, right? So I create a whole new system that helps people come back to their center in a healthy, and natural way. All right. So wherever this is for you, think back to 2010. All right. Wherever you were at during that time, there was probably a major transformation in your life. And this is now completely ending that cycle and starting a brand new cycle that is in the next phase of your identity, because each house represents a part of your life, a part of your identity, right? For me, it's in my first house of identity, literally. So we're all being bumped up and leveled up. Now, you know what they say, new level, new devil, right? So this is where, you know, like greater things are going to be happening. You know, more abundance is coming in, you know, particularly for people that are love-based, right? Heart-centered based, living in authenticity, living with integrity. More people are going to be feeling that energy and listening and being drawn to that energy, and not so much to all that fake BS that we're seeing all over the world. Okay. Now, right before this Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, Mercury is going to go retrograde. And at the same time, too, actually on the same day of the solar eclipse, on the 8th, Saturn and Mars are going to conjunct at 14 degrees of Pisces. So Saturn and Mars are the two malefics, and they're conjuncting at the same time the solar eclipse. And the solar eclipse is conjuncting to, yeah, the solar eclipse is 19 degrees Aries, is conjuncting Chiron. Exactly. So we have the wounded healer that's conjuncting to the sun and the moon, which is our mind and our body, basically, right? Our soul and our emotional state collectively. And Saturn and Mars and Pisces, right? All this energy in Pisces, it's finishing up, it's clearing up, it's showing all the stuff that we've been avoiding. So 2024 is going to be a big year of feeling like we have no choice but to look at the stuff we've been avoiding. And we can choose to look at it, or we can choose to check out. And if we check out, you know, like we're going to see a lot of people's souls choosing to leave this earth. That's just, you know, like we've been seeing that, but I think it's going to step up a little bit this next year because, you know, when you're paying attention to all the outside stuff, it's just going to get nastier and nastier. So don't pay attention to the outside stuff. Stay connected from within and connect to people like me. All right. Let's just connect and do some good work in the world and make the world a better place. All right. Then let's see here. April 25th, Mercury goes direct. It's conjunct the North Node at 15 degrees Aries. So Mercury is going to retrograde. And then when it goes direct, it's going to be exactly conjunct the North Node. So there's going to be a lot of information, a lot of insight that we're going to be getting in the month of April. That's going to really bring us into this new chapter. And by now we have I just saw something crawl across my screen. That was weird. And by now, you know, we have Neptune at 29 degrees. So the intuitive capacity is going to be very, very strong, but we have to make sure we stay grounded. So this year, it's especially important not to be, you know, escaping or not to be doing too many, or I'd say any at all, like mind-altering substances. Now, like there's a lot of like, you know, great things happening in the plant medicine world and microdosing mushrooms and things like that. Doing like, you know, like if you have a guide and or you're doing it in a way that is being monitored, and you know, you're doing clinical dosages and but taking it upon yourself to just, you know, take some stuff and just go have fun and party it up, very bad idea, because entities and all these where the veil is very, very, very thin with Neptune at 29 degrees. They're all over the place. So STEs, spiritually transmitted entities, are everywhere. All right. Don't be sleeping around. Don't be like going around places where there's bad, nasty stuff going around. Stay away from like the nasty low vibration drugs and people and situations and content, and, you know, get off TikTok and all that shit. It's bad news, guys. It's bad news. And it's gonna, the addictive nature in the subconscious mind, it's pulling it in more and more and more. At 29 degrees Neptune, they're going all out next year. Okay. Now it's also really interesting. We're going to see Jupiter go into almost the whole sign of Gemini. All right. So once we see, let's see, Jupiter is going to go in Gemini on May 26th. So when Jupiter goes into Gemini, the energy is going to go from a fixed energy to a mutable energy, which means that, you know, Jupiter is like, we're stabilizing this foundation of who we are in our Turian state, our self-worth, our self-confidence, the things that we like, that, you know, like the luxuries or the way that we want, you know, our reality to be. We want to have a nice car. We want to have, you know, we want to be in shape, right? We want to eat good quality food, you know, all these things that we desire. Now it's going to come into a place where, all right, we know what we want. You know, we've done all the work inside to be able to understand Now, the mutable energy is, now let's figure out how to do that, how to put all that together, how to make it work, especially after it conjuncts Uranus. Uranus is genius energy, right? Now, it's unexpected and unpredictable as well. It's like a lightning strike. But this is where we can get like some really great ideas, like, you know, okay, I had these ideas for a while. Now, this is how I put this into place, and this, it's going to get much more logical. This is where we can actually mold it together like Play-Doh, okay? Make it happen. Mars, let's see, Jupiter, Venus is going to be 29 degrees Taurus. Jupiter, Gemini, Mars, Chiron at 22 degrees Aries. They're going to conjunct there. Yeah, on July 2nd, Neptune is going to retrograde at 29 degrees in 55 minutes. That's 5 minutes away from hitting Aries. So it's right there. And it's going to come back and it's going to go forward. It's not going to actually conjunct Saturn until, I believe, early 2026, late 2025. All right, so we're going to have all this time where it's just going to be sitting there. And then, of course, now Saturn's just going to get to 17 degrees of Pisces this year. So that's still in the middle area. That's more like karmic and timing for the soul's journey and path. Okay, but with Pluto, that's going to be conjuncting all these energies at 0 degrees of Aquarius, where the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction was. That's unlocking and activating all kinds of new stuff for this new 20-year cycle. And then, of course, we're also going to have Uranus getting all the way up to 27 degrees of Taurus, which is really just pushing that fixed energy, because it doesn't really like to be there, right? So that's where, like, the more uncomfortable, like anything that you've been avoiding, Uranus just, it's gonna be like a boomerang, gonna avoid. Nope, it's not going away, and the cycles are gonna hit faster and faster and faster and faster, and you're either gonna get weaker and weaker and check out more and more and more until you just check out permanently, or you're gonna face it a little bit more, face it, and then break through, and then bam, living a life that you love, right? And that's where we want to go. Okay, so come there with me. All right. Let's see. Now, Chiron is going to retrograde at 23 degrees of Aries. I feel like that's really significant because 23 degrees is the precession of the equinox, and tropical astrology, 23 degrees is actually 0 degrees in Vedic astrology. Okay, now Chiron is not counted in Vedic astrology, but if it were, this would be coming into 1 degree of Aries in Vedic astrology. Chiron is the rainbow bridge, right? It's the bridge between Saturn and Uranus. Saturn is, this is my interpretation of it. So Saturn is what rules the third dimensional reality. Uranus is what rules the higher dimensions, or the multidimensionality of where we're shifting to. Chiron is how we get there. So Saturn is the constant karmic loop that we keep going through, right? Because Chiron is going to be a really dominant energy this year, especially with the North Node being in Aries, we're redefining our identity to get to that next place, that next Uranian place. That's why Jupiter conjunct Uranus is going to be such a big deal, because it's really showing us the way, the wounds that we have to face and feel to get there. And at times it may be overwhelming. At times you may have to just leave a part of your life behind in order to get there. But the more you do that, the more you trust, the more smooth the process goes, right? The more we allow and the more we surrender. And this is like, these energies are just pushing us in all these different ways. Like, let's go, let's go, let's go. You got work to do. Like, you know, it's time to start living our life in a bigger way. All right, because the world needs us. And Mercury is going to go retrograde 3 times. September 2nd, Pluto will be coming back to 29 degrees Capricorn until November 20th. And the election is November 5th. So that's going to be interesting. But also, we're going to be having, let's see, Uranus will go retrograde on September 1st at 27 degrees Taurus. So, you know, 27 degrees is not quite in the inner degree, but it is right there. And of course, the third decan of the signs is universal, right? So this past year, it broke in up to 23 degrees, all right? So for half the time, for half the year, we were in, the second decan, which is individuating, coming into the collective. So we've been getting a taste of the collective with the Uranian energy, but as it really comes into a dominant and more complete, third decan of Taurus, we're now going to start to see, hey, this is what I need to do to get there. And the more we have faith, the more we believe in this electrifying kind of genius energy that comes through us. And the genius comes through as we allow the Holy Spirit or source to just channel through us. That's our true guide, right? So whether your approach is through Jesus Christ, or whether your approach is through Buddhism, or I don't care. They're all, in my opinion, they're all different perspectives to get to the same place, which is the highest, connected to our higher self, the Holy Spirit, the highest vibrational version of us, just living from a place of complete love, having our hearts completely open. All right. So, of course, Jupiter will retrograde at 21 degrees of Gemini, right after the solar eclipse at 10 degrees of Libra. And then we'll have the lunar eclipse at 24 degrees of Aries, conjunct Chiron again. That's going to be at 21 degrees of Aries. And of course, that's the third decan. So that's where we're going to start to finish up this this Aries Libra nodal cycle and start moving into the Pisces and Virgo cycle, which we'll get to that for next year. But Saturn will go direct on November 16th at 12 degrees of Pisces. Neptune will go direct at 27 degrees of Pisces. So there's a lot of energy happening because all the personal planets are going to be conjuncting Pluto, Saturn, and Neptune. So in the 10th and 12th houses, respectively, all right, of the zodiac. So these are clearing out old, ancestral stuff. We're clearing out many past lives. This is the complete clearance, I feel. The very end of it's going to come when Saturn conjuncts Neptune at the end and the beginning. It's going to move from 29 degrees of Pisces to 1 degree of Aries. But moving up to that point, you're going to start to see factions breaking off according to their spiritual and religious beliefs. And, we got to stay strong in our authenticity and what our heart believes and come together as such, because they're going to try to continue to divide us. And that's just not okay. And that ain't going to happen. All right. And also, I believe, Neptune and Pisces, too, also rules bacteria. So, there's a big thing going on from all this stuff happening in the world. There's big microbiome issues. I've done my part to be able to help people with that, with developing the butterfly factory. And I'll be talking about that in future videos. But being able to heal from all this damage that is being done from all this nefarious crap is just a lot of more stuff is going to come to light. And of course, that last Pluto Venus conjunct on December 7th is that's going to really be bringing us to I feel a full, deep, knowingness and ability to receive these higher vibrational things. They say in the Bible, the meek shall inherit the earth, right? Well, meek means humble. So the more humble and the more open we are to listen to the heart and to let go of the ego-driven desires, to let go of the worldly things that we thought we wanted. And more of us are going to be really more deeper ways seeing that, going back to the basics, but also coming into new understandings and perceptions of who we are, where we can go. Because let's not forget about the technological stuff with Uranus towards the end of Taurus. Technologies are going to start to skyrocket. I mean, AI is going to be taking off. We're going to be seeing flying cars pretty soon. It's going to get wild. That's going to really be a whole new world when Uranus gets to Gemini, I believe in 2026. But for now, it's still bubbling, still percolating, still coming up. I think we're going to have flying cars by 2025. I do. In fact, David Wilcox talks about that he's already creating one. It's set for mass manufacture by 2025. I don't know a month, but that's something interesting that you can look into. So this is a brief overview of the year 2024. Stay tuned for your individual sign, and we'll go over some more specifics for house placements and what you can look for these very transformational energies. So again, please do me a favor, like, share, and subscribe. I greatly appreciate it. If you would like a reading or do some coaching with me, please message me or just go in the link below and you can check me out, and go follow me on Instagram as well at spiritual_bodybuilder. I appreciate y'all very much. Have a beautiful day. I hope.